Also in Washington today, senators accuse General Motors of covering up a defect that has killed at least 13 people. Families held photos of their loved ones as GM CEO Mary Barra was questioned about why the company delayed for a decade the recall of more than 2 million cars. There is a problem in the ignition switch that can kill the engine, power steering, power brakes, and airbags. A CBS News investigation uncovered much of what we know, and Jeff Glor was in the hearing.
So he has not been fired?
No, he has not.
Okay. Today, many questions for GM CEO Mary Barra were about why no one has been dismissed over the delayed recall. Senator Claire McCaskill.
I, for the life of me, can't understand why he still has his job.
McCaskill's talking about GM engineer Ray DeGiorgio, who's still at the company today. This memo shows DeGiorgio signed off on a new ignition switch to replace a faulty one in 2006, but the part number was never changed, so there was no way to differentiate between old switches and new ones. Barra had few answers.
I don't have the complete facts to share with you today. I became aware of the defect and the recall on January 31st.
When a key is inserted into the ignition, the problem was in the back of the ignition switch assembly. This part, called the detent plunger, was too short and didn't fit snugly into its slots. The looseness meant the key could spontaneously twist, turning the car off and disabling safety features. The replacement plunger is 15% longer than the defective one, snugly fitting into position and holding that key in place. Senator Ed Markey.
We now know that the difference between this switch and one that would have worked was the difference between life and death.
We also now know at least 17 GM employees, including DeGiorgio, and the executive in charge of small cars at GM, Lori Queen, were on an email that said GM was very aware of an issue with inadvertent ignition offs in 2005. No recall came until 9 years later. Barra today pleaded ignorance, blaming the old GM.
You don't know anything about anything.
Senator Barbara Boxer.
You have been involved in this since you became CEO. Have you not looked into this?
Barra, who said an internal investigation would take up to 60 days, was also asked repeatedly if GM deceived the government in 2009 by taking a bailout without revealing ignition problems. The bailout gave them immunity from accident claims. Senator Marco Rubio.
Can you tell us whether General Motors intentionally misled its customers and federal regulators when someone decided to delay disclosing or fixing the faulty ignition switch?
I don't know. That's why we're doing the investigation.
Barra says the recalled vehicles are still safe to drive as long as drivers use the key only. But Scott, on Friday in Texas, a federal judge will hear a request that all the recalled vehicles be parked immediately.
The key only and nothing else on the key ring. Jeff, thanks very much.